Recording, man. Good to see you,
Shit.
bro.
I know, man. It's been a while. It's been a
I haven't
while.
seen your face in a while. Nice frames, man. You
Oh,
are
thank you.
stylish. Yeah. Big
uh,
boy.
yes, sir.
How's
Yes,
everything
sir.
been, man?
I mean, it's been pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
everything's been on the up and up. So,
Right. Yeah.
working on
You still
music.
in LA?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Still here. I mean, it's different, man. It's been mad different since you left. You
Yeah.
took some of
Yeah.
it with you, bro.
Things took off after I left, man. I left right at the height of everything, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I took a
You
step
also,
back from everything, man.
it kind of there was a downfall after you left too, though. So it kind of
I don't like hearing that.
yeah,
I know the scene became different, but I was out in Philly. Philly was doing this thing. I
yeah.
was experiencing that the East Coast hip hop scene, man. It was cool.
That
It's
was
a lot.
cool.
It's a lot like
My sister's
Chicago,
out
man.
there.
Yeah,
Is
Philly's
it?
cool. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot like Chicago, man. Just
Huh.
amazing, talented artists out there, and a lot of cats just seem to not get the light that they deserve. You know how it is in Chicago. It's
Just
like
like
there's
Chicago.
so many talented people in Chicago, and people just didn't. They either didn't get the lane that they needed, or you
Mm.
had to move to LA to make things happen. But yeah, for those that don't know, this is my brother right here, Rift Napalm, Big Rift Napalm, Acrobats, original Chicago, Galapagos 4 secret weapon. One of the dopest MCs of all time, man. Man, I
Appreciate
respect
that.
highly, love highly, and thanks for doing this show, man. I got to
Of
get that
course,
intro shit out of the way.
man.
I haven't talked to you in, shoot, it's been a while, bro.
Yeah, it's been a good minute. It's been a good minute.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
whole
last time
family
I
and
saw you
whatnot.
was like at a party, warehouse party or something, right?
Yeah, when you were still doing
Hmm.
like the drum and bass circuit out here.
Yeah, yeah. That's just
Yeah,
coming back.
I remember that. That was a weird time. That was a weird party.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I was
yeah, no,
wasted. I think we were both wasted.
yeah, no, we appreciate it. But yeah, no, it was good times, man. Like honestly, everything LA was pretty good up until like a certain point. Like I think No One Theory just tapered off, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
like all the scene stuff just kind of disappeared, and everybody got super insular. And then COVID hit, and then here we are today.
And then everything went crazy. Yeah. What changed so much since like COVID hit? What would you say changed the most?
I mean, I feel like LA is a big city. Like it's like a really big city, so you got to be real deliberate about how you move. You're going to do something. It's not like Chicago where you kind of just like go to an area and meander, right? Like you could just go
Right.
to like Milwaukee, north of Milwaukee, and run into like all the homies in the course of the night. Like this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
okay, there's an event. You're going to this event, and that's pretty much it. You might have an after party or something like that.
Right. Right.
Without those events, I feel like everybody just got real in the house, got real on the internet, things like that. And I
Yeah.
don't know how well it's recovering from that. Like
Yeah.
Eddie Kev has the scenario night. I think
Right. Right.
Gaslight Killer had his night that was going on, birthday mode or whatever. So there'll be stuff here and there, and it's starting to ramp up, especially now that like everybody is pretty much so tired of COVID that even if it's not over, they're declaring it over. So
Yeah.
I feel like this year, maybe by the end of this year, things will be closer to what it was, but it's still like a more generic thing as opposed to like the concentrated stuff that we would go through. Because like Lower
Oh
Theory was
yeah.
like
That was pure.
it was
Pure.
pure. There's
Law and
not so
Theory
much the
was
purity anymore.
amazing. Yeah.
So I don't know if that comes back or not, but we'll see how it goes.
Did anything replace it? Like, is there anything that kind of took its place, or not?
Nothing.
It's just been kind of
Nothing.
dead.
Nothing can replace Lower.
Yeah, nothing can replace Law and Theory for sure. Everybody that came out of Law and Theory is an innovator or a tastemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All from the back end to the front end, like the guests. the the actual DJs, the coordinators, the right like yeah, there's
Everything.
nothing
Yeah.
against that.
Yeah, it was
I mean, is there
incredible. It
anything
changed.
comparable? I'm sorry.
Mm-mm. No, no, I think it changed the direction that music went in
Hmm.
completely,
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely.
And I think it all actually started with even before, Low End Theory. I saw it start with Dilla moving to LA. Dilla changed the whole scene for production in LA, and then LA turned it mutated once, Lotus Kev, everybody got together and it mutated into Low End Theory beats, and then now you have a whole genre of bass music, and you got a whole like there's so many
Right.
different subgenres now. So I think yeah, it changed the whole soundscape of music, even to the point that like it changed the way hip hop. Like now you hear a lot of cats out doing what we were doing back in the day, and now it's
Hmm.
way more accepted. You got cats like Billy Woods, and Woods has been around for a while,
Yeah, nah,
but you have a whole genre of really hard writers and thinkers
yeah. Right.
over really hard, emotional, just spirit catching beats. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Absolutely.
I feel
If
it again.
anything, I feel like that wave, like it's the way it's come back around. It's made it so that we can keep doing what, like, not to say we ever stop, but it makes it way more commercially viable for us to
Yeah,
exist in the market. Because I feel like a lot. I don't know if it's the experience, all of us becoming full fledged men, but like all of the all of the headaches and things we used to complain about, all the lacking of opportunities or whatever. I feel like all those obstacles are real minuscule now. Like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if we overstated it then or if we learned how to navigate it better now. But it's just like, okay, do we want to do it or not? That's really the only question at this point. As opposed to
Dude,
before, it's like, oh, we need a publicist and oh, we need money to do this, and it's just I, it's to a certain degree. I feel like we've gotten our own ways, but at the same time, I understand that the market was completely different back then too. So,
completely. We didn't have the reach that these kids have. You
mm,
know, it's a lot different. I mean, I attribute it to like, the whole era of Our Future being that Fresh Drive. You were around in LA when I was working at Fresh Drive, and Our Future was coming up. And I remember telling Tyler one time, like, "Oh man, you sound a lot like a couple of my favorite rappers back in the day, Cool Keith, Dre Dog." Um, but the whole thing that they were doing reminded me of what we were doing as kids too. Just being really
mm-hmm,
avant garde and rapping over hard beats. And then you had Earl come back from Samoa, and he transitioned into just a full-fledged writer and lyricist, and got away from the limelight. Now he's working with y'all and working with everybody. It's cool to see, man, because I was trying to bridge that gap somehow, and it just never happened. But it happened
mm-hmm.
naturally with Earl.
He definitely. It's just funny with Earl specifically because I watched. Actually, Sketch put me on the Earl first, like
Okay.
very very early before
Yeah.
I was even out here. So you was seeing him come out, but I think it was like
Yeah.
what the early
He was
YouTube
14 when I
videos.
met him. Yeah.
So yeah, he was
Tyler and
back.
him are 14.
Mm-hmm. And he put him on like, yo, you need to check this cat out. I'm like, oh no, this dude's dope. So it's like we've known of him for like forever, and
Yeah.
then to watch him come back, and then all this whole generation, like he's like the entire generation now is damn near spawned from him. Like when I
Exactly.
look at
Yep.
the topics and the technique of them and whatnot, and it's dope to see even Tyler go off in his lane, like.
Right.
He basically like I wanted mainstream shit. I'm gonna take this over, and he took it over easily. He
Yeah.
just ate it. So it's just like you know, Tale of Two Cities type shit. But watching them diverge and still be successful in both of their lanes, that was good to see, and it's still good to see the fact that like then you hook in like Alchemist and like all the OGs that are still messing with that style of music, and then having it linked back to like okay, Arm& Hammer did a Alchemist album.
All right. Record. Yeah. Whole record. That shit was dope, by the way.
It's dope as hell. And then they're supposed to be doing something with Clay Chris and uh,
Oh, I love that dude too. That dude's dope.
Denmark Vesey, the Crown
Okay.
Royal. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if they're doing that, that's. But it's just like we're all so interconnected. I don't know if like the classroom got smaller over time. Like there's just us now. Every time I look around, it's just us. So
Yeah.
it's like the
It's
same cats
popping
that I've
now
known
too.
for like the last 15, 20 years. It's like, oh, we're still winning. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
So, well, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to bring it back to you and, let everybody know that I know your history, and let everybody know that doesn't know your history, how you started rapping, where you started rapping, where you came up. I know you're a Chicago cat. I've been in your neighborhood. Oh man, before we start, you remember that crazy ass party that happened that we were
Uh,
at?
it was,
You got
was
into it with that dude, some chief or something like that.
yeah,
We
it
were at
was
a
fucking
party.
weird, dude.
That dude was like 5 times your size, and you squared up with him. And you were handling your business, bro. That shit was crazy. I remember being like,
Yeah,
Rip,
I
just
think
let it
back on
go,
that
bro.
sometimes. The thing is, I'm not even, I don't know what happened after that. I just know, like, all right, so just to speak on that particular one, we used to throw house parties out of the apartment, and we were taking money at the door upstairs. I
Mm,
guess we brought a lot of traffic to the block, and they saw it, and they were like, okay, we'll just take money at the door downstairs and then set them up. So then maybe about 5, 10 people were coming up like, yo, we already paid. I'm like, what the fuck you mean you already paid? This is where we're
right.
taking money. So I go downstairs, and big dude is like taking money. And I'm like, dude, okay, how am I gonna handle this shit? So I'm trying to talk to him like, look, if you feel like we gotta split some shit or whatever, let's negotiate this shit or whatever. But then he like backed up, and then I backed up because I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of swinging distance because I'm seeing he
Yeah,
looks like.
right, right.
So I backed up and I put my hands out like, yo, I ain't got shit on me, so like whatever. But I guess he took that as like an offensive gesture, so he rushed me. And I guess he tried to like tackle me onto like the concrete or whatever. It was like you know how the Chicago walk ups are. They have like the stairs and then there's like
Yeah,
ladders, whatever it's called.
yeah,
So he's like trying to push me down on that, and I got this man's whole weight on my back. And I guess he
right, right.
thought it was going to be easier to like tackle me down or whatever, but it just wasn't.
Yeah,
So he let go and then like ran off down the block.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I walked out and I looked down and I'm like, oh no, this is pure track right there. I'm not chasing them down there into that
yeah,
shit.
right, yeah,
So then after that, I just went back upstairs and we shut down shop. And, I think maybe about 10, 15 minutes after that, somebody like cops rolled up and then the block was just hot at that point.
yeah.
But it was crazy too because that was like the last one we threw at that apartment. And I already had another apartment rented like down the street basically. So we took all the shit, made everybody get the hell out. And then we just went to the other apartment. And that was the end of that. Just chilled out for the rest of the night.
That was the moment I knew, like, I felt safe around you. I was like, oh, he's gonna have my back for sure. I was like, Riff, he don't back down. He's got my back
Uh,
because there was a lot of
that
cats
fucking helped.
around that time that I didn't feel like that with.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from back home, back west, everybody that you got around you has to be solid.
Right, right,
And I
right,
knew
right.
that time. I was like, Riff's solid. He's a solid character. That dude was pulling your dreads. He was humongous, and then he ran. But you forgot this part. He came back. He was from some set around the neighborhood,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the chief came up to you and apologized for the whole thing. And
Oh shit,
and
snap. Yeah.
yeah, yep. He came upstairs and apologized, and that's when we shut everything down. That's before anything happened.
Oh shit. See, we got
Yeah,
see.
nobody
That's
said
just.
nothing either, so he was like thankful for that. You know what I mean?
I mean,
There
that's
was
the
the
other thing.
code amongst men.
It's
Yeah,
cold, right? Like I know I'm not like, dude. Nothing was legal about the shit I was doing, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I respect. I respect. I respect what they do. It's just leave it at that.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like I'm not. The law isn't going to help either one of us in this situation. So
Right.
I'm not,
Right. Right.
I'm not trying to jam up people like that. And I do think there is a respect that comes from that when you realize, like,
right.
if everybody's out there doing a certain degree of thing, because that's what we
Yeah.
all do. Like, you can't be. sitting there trying to point fingers like you're worse and therefore you gotta deal with it. Just handle it amongst yourselves because that's how we
Right.
chose to engage the whole situation in the first place. If I was
Yes.
really about trying to run a bar or some shit, I'd go get licenses, pay money, whatever, and then I'd be above board. And at that point, I got every right to call police for this, that, and the third. But
Right.
if I'm
Right. Right.
buying kegs and selling drinks at my house, I'm not a lawful citizen at that point.
Yeah.
So
Right. Right. Right.
you kind of got to respect the area that you're working in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You handled it proper because I'm sure you saved yourself a lot of trouble
Yeah.
dealing with them cats later on. You know. But I just remember going, Riff, hey, bro, that dude's pretty big, dog. You want to square up with him? What it was? You was like, I don't care, bro. He's selling, he's taking money from people on my step. I'm like, all right, cool. Just
I
watch you
mean,
go off and handle business, man. I respected you so much after that. So, anyways, I wanted to get that out the way before we started getting into your history and who you are as a person and how you came up with Rift Napalm and, you know, how you started rapping in your origin and history the Chicago rap scene because you're a big factor in the hip hop scene in Chicago
yeah,
and in the underground hip hop scene. So it's a benefit for me also to hear this story. So I'll leave it to
all
you.
right,
The stage is yours.
all right. Well, I'm gonna just say this. Me and Mike basically emerged simultaneously, right? So
Yeah.
it
Open
was
Mike
back
Eagle.
open Mike Eagle, yeah.
Yes.
In high school, yeah, I guess there is more than one like that. There's a pure Mike anyway. Um, but yeah, me and him went to high school together, and we just started doing like hip hop shit. You know, it was like,
Right.
okay, let's b boy, let's do graph or whatever. So we started a crew. It was me, him. Later on, it was Crystal, someone, another cat, Akil. Pug started
Yeah, yeah.
Acrobats. But see, Acrobats had this system where it was actually incredibly innovative when you really think about it. Because he basically would take crews and just link them all together. So Acrobats became this umbrella, and all the subset crews basically once they joined Acrobats had like a reciprocal arrangement. So like
Right.
if like me and Mike and all of us, we were PDX. That was our crew. We we as a crew joined Acrobats. So everybody in PDX is Acrobats, and every other crew that's in Acrobats is technically part of PDX. The way it was worked out. So we basically just all repped each other and all repped our individual sets, even though we knew who our members were. They knew who their members are. But if some shit happened with them, we would deal with it, and if some shit happened with us, we would deal with it, or they would deal
Mm.
with it. And so, like, Acrobats was real big at the time, and they were they were having their weekly meetings. There was two of them. We would either meet up at the Point on Thursdays, and that's in Promontory Point in Hyde Park,
Mm.
and
Mm.
we would be, b-boying. They would have the ciphers, all that shit, and we would just start showing up to that. And then there was the actual Acrobat meetings. It's like once a month at the McDonald's on Chicago and State. No, it was a Burger King before that burned down. Yeah, it was on Chicago and State. And, the same shit. You get up, be like 20 of us rapping and shit. But this was before. So after a certain point, we are going to the point. We're meeting up regularly. We're seeing all these cats rap, and it's me and Mike just doing b-boy shit. We're not really rapping at all right then. And I think we just decided we're like, yo, we should rap. Like, oh, word. And this is like me, Mike, and this other cat we were school with, Eric Williams. We went by Cigar at the time. We're walking, and like we just rap. And we're like, well, how? How does one start rapping, right? So we're just like, we just rap. So we went, I think it was like by the Wendy's over there or the Mellow Yellow, but there was like seating back there, and we just sat back there and we just started freestyling. It was terrible freestyle. They were not good freestyle,
Yeah.
but we just started
Right.
doing it. And it was just
Right.
like from that point, I think me and Mike would call each other and just basically rap on the phone until we stop. Like that's how it worked. Like we're gonna freestyle as long as possible, and then it's the other person's turn. And then we were doing that until we basically felt good enough to be in these ciphers and shit. And then from that, it was just like, okay, we're rapping. Yeah,
That's kind of
that's
how it was back in the that's the evolution of a lot of us back in the day. It was like freestyle all the time, and then
yeah,
figure out how to write songs.
right, right.
I think a lot of
That's
intricacies came from that, man.
I feel like a lot of breath control, a lot of confidence came from just free like cipher rapping. Because it's like,
Yeah,
dude, especially the way we used to mob around back then, dude. It's like, okay, you slip up, you basically got to battle like 7 people at the same time. They're all roasted, and
yeah,
this was a
yeah.
regular occurrence. So it's like you
It's a
either get
gauntlet.
good or you just sit out. And I don't know, man. I feel like that among other things, kind of just like you. Yeah, I already have a certain level of confidence and demeanor in terms of dealing with confrontation, as you already know. But it's like
Right, right. Yeah.
in terms of like knowing that you're good at something and letting that carry you over into certain things, I feel like that did a lot because
Oh hell yeah.
there
Yeah.
was like all of us in the crew, but then we're meeting. It's like we're meeting all these other rappers that not they don't necessarily fuck with us, but they're still on the same level. And it's like if
Right.
you have to kind of compete, and it's just gladiator shit all day,
Hmm.
just walking around the city on some weird gang shit, but not quite. But
It doesn't happen that way anymore, man.
no, not even close. Not even close. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to though, because it's like this is all pre-internet, pre-cell phone
Yeah.
practically.
Right.
It's a very analog way of life. You
Hmm.
don't get the flyer, you don't know about the party. If you're on the bus, you're meeting people very organically because that's really all there
Right.
is. And
Hmm.
I miss the hell out of that, but I don't think it's even feasible for that to exist nowadays.
I keep saying this. We're the last generation of humans to live without the internet. You know,
Yeah,
we're the
you
last.
absolutely
You
are.
and I, our generation is the last. And I think that means a lot, or that's a lot of responsibility to carry on to the younger generation. You know.
Because
Um,
we're the last ones that are gonna remember it, and at the same
yeah.
time, we're the first ones to honestly master it to a certain degree,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So we're living with both of these halves. To be the last is something that important, and the first is something that like humanity changing.
Yeah.
It makes us a really weird set of individuals. Because even the kids that came out after us, like once you like start being raised with the internet, it changes your brain a little bit. It's just what
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Completely. Yeah.
And we managed to basically make it through our formative stages without it. Like there was
Yeah.
slight exposure to it, Oregon Trail or whatever, but for the most part, we in our teens and our 20s living just like literally the last humans out here, just like okay,
Right.
meeting people at bars, meeting, how you talk to girls, like you actually got to go up to them and talk to
Yeah.
them,
There's no applications for it
you
back. There's the
know?
party line.
Right, which is weird unto itself. But
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing. It took like the weirdest things of our generation and just made them normal. Like the party
Right.
line is not a normal thing. Like let's
Right.
get
Yeah.
30 people on a group call. But now that's Twitter. That's all it is.
Right.
You actually watch them go full circle because during COVID they started what is it, Clubhouse or whatever it was. It was basically just
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it was just a party line all over
Yeah. I
again.
remember that.
And then they
Yeah.
built it into Twitter, and they made it Twitter Spaces or whatever. So I mean, they're just using old concepts and breathing new life into it.
Yeah. Human connection is pretty basic. You just gotta supply the means to get connected. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But so after Necrobats, you how did you find Galapagos? Like when did you link up with Quellen on them? Who did you link up with first? Off White or because Off White was part of Necrobats,
Right, and it's definitely off white first.
and Quell was
So
part of Necrobats too, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay,
it
yeah, that's right.
all it all linked up real. It was real organic because starting in acrobats, I knew everybody. We all I
Right.
knew Off White, I knew Pugs, I knew Chips, etc. When Off White and Jeff started to start the label, the first record they put out was Blackwood Sessions.
Hmm.
So I know they had a bunch of Acrobat cats on it.
Okay.
So, but from that point, like Pugs put out his first album on that. I took the cover for that one.
Mm.
Um, think Cosmo, who I did Century 21 with. So that's the other
Right.
thing. Like, all the things were interconnected already.
Yeah.
So for Kaz, he did a track with Off White on his first album, on Off White's first album, Twins. So that was already linked up, and then by then we were already familiar. So it was just natural, you know. Like if
Yeah.
you're gonna be on a label, because there, you know, you had All Natural, you had Mole Man and whatnot, but really like G4 was the only one that was really fucking with like our style, that Acrobat style, that
Yeah.
that more jazzy beat with the more cerebral lyrics and shit like that. So
Hmm.
it damn near was like them making a label for us to get our shit on. That's how it started. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
you know, I ended up meeting Quell because he went to college with my girlfriend at the time, and he didn't know
Okay.
who I was as a person. He just knew Rift,
You rap. Yeah.
right? I rap.
Yeah.
But then he was in, I think it was like a chemistry class or something, and she was like, "Yeah, that's my dude." He said, "Oh, word." So that ended up linking up, and I don't even think that's how we met. I just remember the first time I met him, he was in front of Sen Park in my neighborhood. I think he knew who I was before I knew who he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we just ended up talking and linking up, and it just kind of kept evolving from that point. And
Right.
then I ended up meeting Yoga randomly at like there was some Chinese food spot in Little Vietnam in on Argyle
Mm. Yeah.
where they used to have parties and whatnot, and he was DJing one of those nights, and then I met him there, and from that point it was just like, oh shit, make beats, and I think soon after that y'all moved into the apartment on Pratt.
Oh yeah. Yep. Hmm.
And after that, it was just, everybody was just doing work at that point. So
Yeah. The
it's the
scene
same
was
organic.
exploding back then. The
Mm-hmm.
Chicago scene was on a whole nother level back then. I mean, I remember our shows back then. Some of them were really huge, man.
Yeah,
And remember the one at the Belmont? There was one in Belmont. Dude, it looked like it had to be like 4 or 5 thousand kids, man. It looked humongous. So I was like, damn, man,
yeah.
Chicago
There's a
really
bunch of
comes out
those.
for this, man. Hmm.
Like I remember when Atmosphere first came out, like at the Royale, it was on
Yeah,
I forget the intersection, but right where the that boiler room pizza spot was. I think it was like next to a bank and on top of some other shit, whatever.
mm,
But yeah, that shit blew up hard as hell. Like we got to a point, all of us. I feel like Chicago used to come out for Chicago a lot, and it was regardless
yeah,
of before.
hmm,
I would love to say it's just like it was us, Nacrobats or G4 or whatever, but I feel like we had a lot of enthusiasts of actual skills, and then we had a lot of fans of it. So it's like
yeah,
there was a reciprocal relationship where there was just a lot of appreciation. Like I appreciate doing
yeah.
it. I appreciate you coming out. You appreciate me doing it. It was just a lot of love going back and forth. It wasn't
The
necessarily
Chicago
this
fan
this
is a solid fan.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So when did you decide to move to LA? Why'd you leave Chicago?
I mean, Chicago was getting weird, man. It's just,
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was me and my age of development, or if it was like just the city, just the sign of the times or whatever. Because
yeah,
like Obama just got elected, and then I, it just everything that we're going through now, you can see seeds of it back then. And
yeah,
I
right,
think
right.
I think what happened there was that bomb cyclone or whatever, polar vortex or whatever happened, but it snowed in Lakeshore Drive. That was the first
Mm,
year, and then the second year it happened again, and I'm like, I don't need, I don't need to deal with this anymore. I was throwing
yeah,
parties. I had a whole other spot I was throwing parties, and I know what it was, man. Like, okay, so I had this other spot, like, because you were there when I was doing it at my house. I ended up
yeah.
getting a loft I did it twice, but after the second time, I had a loft on Six Corners above Flash Taco,
Okay.
and we were throwing parties there, and they were fairly big, about like 300 people a run. And over time, I was watching the way the kids were, right, like just the way way the people interacted. It wasn't about music
Right.
anymore. It wasn't about even really having fun. These people were just showing up at my spot, getting faded on pills and whatnot, and just kind of sitting around looking like hella dead inside and whatnot.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to be responsible for this. I don't need to be responsible for 300 like drug addicts. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't. And it's like only reason I even was fostering those spaces is because I enjoyed the atmosphere that came from the music and that energy. And this
Right.
was just completely something else. And it's like, okay, I can keep doing it because it makes money, but I don't like this anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah.
eventually I let that go. I was just trying to figure out, like just my own life because I had relationships go sour. Just you just figure out you need a change. And I'm like,
Right.
I could have went either East Coast or West Coast. And at the time, I'm like, I was going back and forth to New York a lot. And I'm like, New York, I know New York well enough
Mm.
for it to be. It's like it's similar enough to Chicago where I'm like, okay, I want something different.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go west. At the time, my sister lived out there. She lived in OC, which was a good starting point, but I don't like OC that
Right.
much. But yeah, from there I just and that's the other thing. Lowen was blowing up. You was out here. Mike was out here. Like a bunch of other homies had already moved out there. They just gave up
Mm.
sooner. So
Yeah.
at the time, it seemed like a good decision. And I'm not gonna say at the time. I still think it was a good decision. But
Yeah.
since then, a lot has changed to where you know I may have to figure something else out all over again. But
I mean, man, I would love to go back home to California, but it's too much has changed. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Too
Yeah,
much. It's just not. It doesn't support having a family out there for me. It just doesn't
right.
make sense financially. You know what I'm saying? It's too
Oh man.
expensive. It's insane. Everything's so expensive out there, man. I love
Yeah, like it's
California
hot.
with all my heart, bro. It's my home, but I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, man. I still need to get to the family part. I don't know if I can pull that off here. You know.
But yeah, so you ended up out there in like what have you been working on musically since then? Have you been working on music or are you working on shows and stuff? Like you're still doing entertainment stuff,
I
right?
mean, I was working on some other label stuff with a few other people, and just kind of traveling and minding my business. And then
Right.
open mic is doing real well out here. Is
Right. Yep.
and then I think like mid COVID, we were all just kind of messed up. Just
Right.
it's the nature of the beast. We were all kind of housebound, stir crazy, whatnot. Mike and Video Dave, they were doing like an Instagram show,
Okay.
and yeah, they were just basically being creative and trying to kill time since they weren't touring anymore. They had records coming out, but couldn't do anything
Yeah.
with them. And then I think what happened, like we just started hanging out, and then eventually we're like, let's. He had, he gets beats. He gets a plethora of beats over time.
Yeah.
So he had a bunch of stuff, and we just started. He was just like, he just threw one on. I think we just wrote to it and recorded real quick. This is good. This is good. So we ended up recording a bunch of music, and some of it ended up on his most recent album. We got some other stuff in the works, but I'll keep my lips sealed on that until it's more appropriate. But I think after that, I got the bug to just start rapping again for real. Since like
Good. Hell
like
yeah.
I knew it was gonna come out on mic, and I knew that was gonna be a platform for that. Like there's no way I'm not gonna be noticed after having a feature on his record because it's like, well, why him of all people? Like this man doesn't even exist really. There are plenty of other rappers on Earth that he could get on his record that actually would like help sell the record better. So clearly, me
Yeah.
being on it is a very deliberate thing. It's not like it's not a skill I don't have, and it's not like something I don't enjoy. Because I mean, the whole time I'm still writing. I can't
Mm.
stop doing that. I'm just not doing anything with it. The same way I would take photos all the time. It's not, regardless of me using the skill for like commercial gain. I'm still practicing the art of it because that's what I enjoy. So that came out. I mean, Sketch asked me to get on his record. That just came out. And that's just
Yeah, I just heard that verse. I heard the whole record. The record's dope. I'm gonna interview Sketch too. Yeah, man, your style is so uniquely you. It's like barbaric and smooth around the edges at the same time, you know, and intricate. I've always loved your style, man. And I've been waiting for that meaty riff record forever, like a full
oh
length LP, you know,
yeah.
because y'all sound so good together that it's like meant to be, you know.
No,
And I
it's
really
like
hope that this is driving you to push music, because you know, man, me, I never stopped. I kept going, but it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like I
man.
was
You
in it to
can't
make
quit that
money.
shit.
I've never been making like millions off of the shit. I just do it because this is what I have to do, you know. The same
Hmm.
same with you, you know. It's like we just keep pushing forward just because this is what we feel we should be doing and we're good at it, you know.
Yeah.
Best man for the job type of thing.
Honestly, I feel like I'm more encouraged to do it now because, like, even before all this, I still was working on, helping people with records, helping, like, just learning other aspects of the industry, of the business.
Yeah,
So my understanding of it is a lot different than it was in the first place.
right.
And I feel like I have a lot more agency and control. And honestly, it's like nowadays, you can self-publish and be done, dude. Like, if you want it on
Yeah,
Spotify, just pay TuneCore or whatever, get it on Spotify. It's not
right,
really
right, right.
none of it. It's just whether or not you want the physical goods. If you want to go through that, that chain of it, and that's if you have a fan base that supports even buying that. So that's a personal decision.
Right,
But in terms
right,
of
right.
putting out music, we could like, and on top of that, the way the internet is, all these kids get to like, they don't have to deal with pop. They don't have to deal with what's forced on them, right?
Right.
I've seen so many people of different ages that just dig into different genres over time, and then
Yeah,
that's their
yeah.
shit.
Hmm.
So, regard before it used to feel like there was like a shelf life to things, or you could date
Right.
things, right? And it's like I could put something out now, and it may not blow up for like 10 years or whatever. But once they
Yeah.
get into it, they get all the way into it. So it's kind of
Right,
like
right, right.
it takes a lot of the pressure off in a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Meaty's putting like about the tapes he's been working on and everything and potions. Like
Yep.
that's
I heard your grenades track. Woo, bro. Grenades too. I was like, dang, Riff came with it, man.
I was just man. He gave me that beat. He gave me the beat tape or whatever, and I was thinking, I'm like, no, this is the one. This is the one. I'm very pleased with the way that whole tape came out because it's like
Oh,
that
it's
tape is
amazing.
damn near like one of them old Acrobat tapes. Like
Yeah,
with all the
yeah,
people on it and the way it's been assembled
yeah,
and everything, it's very much
yeah.
the aesthetic that we were raised in.
Right.
And I feel like that's
Meaty's
where
never lost that feel either, man. He's never
mm-mm,
lost that sound or that feel. It just feels completely like that era.
yeah. And I feel like a lot of it is the equipment he uses too. Like he still uses like old SPs and whatnot. So
Hmm.
he'll still dive back into the old technique and just like augment it with whatever new technology is out. I think he got some
Right.
newer machine that's like built in the vein of the SP, but it's just newer, like newer technology,
Hmm.
whatever. He was showing it to me, and it's great. But yeah, he's still him. He's still banging them out like it was just platter pumping. So
Yeah. It's nice to
that's
have him
good.
around, man, and have him completely immersed in music still, you know, because he
Yeah.
motivates me to do stuff.
Dude, it's nice having I feel like it's crazy that everybody that was around then is still thriving in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody let it go. Like, even if they don't do it to the utmost super professional level, that like they still do it and they still do it in a way
Yeah.
that's very honorable of the art. I feel like we all still practice the craft, and I'm very appreciative for that. And I feel like a lot of newer cats have come out. You look at like Def C or like anybody in that ilk. So like Solar Five or
Mm.
Frame Rock and things like that. Like some of them have been around, but some of them are practically like our progenitors. Like
Yeah.
like,
Right. Mhm.
and it's interesting to see the generations that come after you. Like I know I have my hand in people's like
Yeah.
accomplishments. Like I know, like Sketch in particular, I know that me and him went back and forth, so we
Yeah.
rubbed off on each other. Like whatever barbarism that I have, I know I got from him a little bit.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, it's just good to see. It's just good to see. If I've influenced more people than I realize, because that's the thing. I know who I am, and I am kind of antisocial in a certain way. Like I fuck with the people I fuck with,
Yeah.
and if my reach is outside of that, I'm not necessarily aware of it. If it is, then I'm you know I'm happy. It's good to hear. But I'm still just a dude that kind of lives out in space and minds his business.
Well,
It's good.
so you're working on stuff with Mike and Video Dave. Are you doing
Yes.
any solo stuff? Are you working on a solo project or anything?
I mean, I'm getting beats here and there. I've been writing here and there. Um, like I did a bunch of features last year that are starting to come out this year, and
Right.
then I'm working on some full projects that should be coming out this year. Um, but those everything right now is kind of like teamwork.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's the thing. Like the more you work with people, the more you feel like you got to do stuff by yourself. Like
Yeah.
it's just different decisions. Like you make concessions, and they're not bad concessions. They're just like you want this one group project to be the best that it can be, and it's like a union of whoever's working on it. But
Right.
in doing so, you end up realizing how you want your own shit to go. And I feel like I'm right at that point where I've gotten enough insight into that to start being like, okay, I need to start putting out my own stuff. Honestly, after the
Right.
sketch one, I'm hella inspired, dude, because it's like, oh, I can't have him out here running circles around me like that,
That
because
shit brought me back too, man.
he put his ass in that shit, man. I'm very proud of him.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's
He never does not put his all into everything,
yeah,
man.
it's,
Ever since I met that kid when he was young when I met him.
mm,
I saw him freestyling at a party and I was like, who is that kid? Kid's
yeah,
hard as
no,
hell.
he's Scribble champion, Scribble at least
Yeah.
Scribble
Yep.
finalist, but he can rap. He can rap. But it's like when you talk to him, that's the thing. I shouldn't be talking about somebody else so much in my own interview, but I love that kid so much. But
Well, it has to do with you, man. So it's all right.
nah, man, I'm proud of him. And at the same time, I feel like and this is why I know I'm happy for him because I know it all benefits all of us, right? Like you know, you if you don't really love a motherfucker, when they get on, you feel like maybe a pang of jealousy or whatever. It's just a human
Right. Right.
experience. I have none
Hmm.
of that. Like I'm
Yeah.
like he could go to the moon and back, and I'm like, oh, you did it, you deserve it, and I don't like it's just pure joy. But at the same time, I realize it's like we're all on the same caravan. So everything that he's
Yeah.
doing now just makes it easier for me to do anything. Anything I do is going to make it easier for him to do. So
Yeah. I'm proud of him too, man. It's nice to see him getting out there. I mean, that's why I like talking to people who I respect and love too. And I'm proud of everything I've been seeing you do too. All the little features coming out. I know it's like Rift climbing out of his shell a little bit. You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like slowly but surely. But when you fully get out there, it's a problem. You're gonna be
I
on
man,
fire. So
I,
it's
I can
cool to
only do
see,
what I
man.
know how to do, man. I mean, it's been interesting, man. The feedback's been interesting because it's like I like rapping with people that I know and that I like, right? So I mean,
Right,
really, it's a small circle. So I got I did stuff on media stuff. I did stuff on sketch stuff. I did stuff with Mike. I did this stuff with Lamont. But like these are like people I drink with, people I chill with, even if I never rap again, and that's how I
right.
prefer it. But it gets out into the world, and everybody's like, and keep in mind, I switched because I chose Still Rift over Rift Napalm because I needed to like make a defining, like a delineation between everything that I'm doing now and then all the disparate stuff that I was doing before. All right, Rift Napalm, Rift comes from when I was just doing graffiti. I just like the letters for some reason. I was looking at
Yeah.
like the back when Image Comics had a bunch of stuff out. Grifter off Wildcats, he had a
Okay.
solo book, but I just saw Grifter, and I'm like, I like the letters of it, but I'm like, I don't want to be like Grifter is like a dicey dude, and that's not it didn't resonate with me. But like when I saw Rift in that, I'm like, I do have that dichotomy in my mind, that dissonance a little bit.
Yeah.
So it resonated with me and it stuck, and I started writing that. But then when me and Mike started rapping, he he was like, we should have like a name, like a family name type thing. So back then he used to rap under Drone. So it was Drone Napalm and Rift Napalm.
Ah.
So technically it was like a family name. And then but then he ended up embracing open mic more as a persona, and I had already put out the Century 21 tape, and I think back then I was actually putting out more records than he was, because he was just
Yeah.
rapping, and I was doing all the Necrobat tapes. So the whole Napalm thing kind of just got blunt. It became more me than anybody else. But
Mm.
so then you flash forward, I'm rapping under with Napalm, but then I'm starting to shoot parties and I'm starting to shoot professionally and whatnot. And then that was during that period of time I was doing Peter Parker Lewis as like a side hustle, and I wanted to keep them separate because my whole thing was it was corny, that I didn't want like rap influence to try to bring me up as a photographer.
Right.
I might have been misguided in that thought, especially nowadays. But my whole thing was just like I wanted it to stand on its own and
Yeah.
to be able to move in its own areas.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, now everybody's a multi hyphenate and everybody has everybody does everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wasn't like that back in the day.
no, not at all, not at all. It was all about specialties back then,
Yeah.
and I feel like the way both of those names, both of those brands were so separated, I needed something to bring them back together, and that's why I
Right.
tried to start at Still Rift. So it's like the still being like me taking still photos, me trying to like find some sort of zen in the middle of all of it, and when you just say it, it's like I am still Rift. That doesn't change. I can't get rid of that name. Like I've tried
Yeah.
not to be Rift, and it doesn't work. Like either the old homies keep calling me that shit, or it's like on some weird Batman shit, I'm calling myself that in my mind. But either way, I'm gonna be Rift regardless. So it's like I'm still
Right.
Rift.
Right. Right.
It's copacetic like that. So
That's
is that about this?
interesting, man. I didn't even think about it until you just said that. That everything I saw you on was still Riff. Because in my head, I was calling you Riff Napalm, and even on the features, I saw your name is still Riff. Like, oh, yes, Riff Napalm. That's cool,
But
man.
I feel like it's a good throwback though, man, because it's like if you want to know, it's right there in front of you.
Right.
It's hiding in plain sight, and I'm pretty good at that in general. So, but you got all these
That's why I
kids that
like
are
doing these, man. Because most of my boys, like you and all my homies that I came up with, are pretty reclusive. You know, reclusive geniuses. And I like bringing people out of the shell. You know me, man. I've always been hella social, but I have that
yeah,
reclusive
yeah.
side to me, man. So it's nice to bring my boys on and talk through the history and get to know you more in your career too, because I don't think we ever even really talked about it. It wasn't a thing. We were just living in the moment, you know,
Right, right.
tour to tour, mic to mic. That's how it was, So
Yeah.
it's cool to see you out there doing things, man. And I'm proud to know you, and I respect you highly as an MC and a writer. And I'm glad you're getting out there, and I can't wait to hear more from you. And yeah, I mean, shoot, keep me in the loop, man, because I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm very excited for all the music that y'all been doing in your camp, and that's coming from all the spawns, and that's coming from all the
Mhm.
connections. Like, I'm excited for all the music I'm hearing, man.
I'm excited. I'm super excited, dude. And honestly, I feel like with all these kids trying to do the research in a way, I feel like there's just like me and you got to get on tracks. They get
Yeah,
like, well, everybody is like all the stuff we didn't
spare
do.
change, bro.
Spare
Spare
change, bro.
change.
Like,
People don't know. Nobody knows about spare change. It was the illest super group to it never exist.
and I feel like there's still a space for that. And Meaty's still out there doing stuff. Like,
Robust is
all
still
people
doing his thing.
are.
Quell's going here and there, and Robust is still putting music out. It's a quality stuff too.
Real quick though, how did you end up hooking up with those for the alpha stuff?
Oh, with Dose?
Yeah.
So me and Dose, we met a long time ago. When I was 16, I was battling when I was in Phoenix. This is when
Mm.
I just left Oakland and I moved to Phoenix. And I was battling everybody. I was making a name for myself, battling in the city. And Gel and Dose did their first like them show,
Oh, right,
and
right, right.
I met them at that show because I got to the last round, and yeah, we just connected and stayed connected throughout the years. So I hit him up to do one song when I moved to Philly, and that one song kind of turned into Alpha. You know, we it sounded so good together that we were like, why don't we just make a record together? We made a record together, one record, and Alias passed away, rest his soul. We didn't do a record for 5 years after that, and then
Right.
recently, Meaty was like, "Hey, I got some beats. We're looking for a new Alpha producer." The fire started coming back, and we just kind of banged it out in 3 months. Man, Meaty gave us all those beats, and it was just meant to be.
Nice.
Timing was perfect.
I didn't know y'all knew each other that long. Like I
Yeah,
never. I think I met him in passing a couple times. But this was back when he was doing Scribble Jam and Depot Dynamics and things like that. So
right.
my relationship with him has always been like fan, like because
Yeah,
his style
me
is
too.
just incredible. Like
I love him like a
Shakespearean,
brother.
like that's amazing. So
He's one of them. He's
hmm
definitely one of them. I cherish that dude for his style and music. He's an influence on me all the way, and just like it's in the same vein as what we do. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Same vein as
So
just like Sketch, just like Woods, just like Mike, just like Video Dave, just like Arm and Hammer, just like the list goes on and on and on and
mhm.
on. Rock Marciano, Ka, the vent, K the I. You remember K the I?
Oh man, I got to
Yeah.
pick him up actually.
Vile.
Vile, yeah, no, Vile's going on the next level. Yeah, no, the camp is great. The camp is strong as hell. So like, I'm not worried about it. I'm just eager to see what we produce.
Yeah.
I'm I'm eager to see how the world responds to things. I think that's the new game for me now. It's just like, okay, how will you take these verses? It's not going to change anything about how I make them. Like, and that's the thing. We've been doing it for so long. It's not like we're as susceptible to trends as a lot of people are, right? Like when you've been
Right,
doing
right,
something for 20 years, it's like we do it. Like this is what I've been doing. I did it when you didn't like it. Why am I going to change now that you do, right?
right,
So it's just almost a thought experiment with the world now. Like, okay, this how do you take that? How do you take that? And it's like we got so many different techniques and styles, not just like amongst us individually, but inside ourselves. Like I know how you can flip like at least four different sprays. I can flip like at
yeah,
least four sprays just off top of the head thinking about it.
right,
So
right,
it's
right,
like it's not gonna be like a cutter thing where it's like, oh, every track's gonna sound the same.
right.
It's
Because
not.
we're like painters, man. We use different painting techniques for different things, different approaches, different emotions. Bring on a different technique, a different style.
Exactly. Because I feel like a lot of people get locked into like trying to like they build their gimmick almost. Because at that point, that's what you have to call it. There's their gimmick, and then they try to do as much as they can with that gimmick. And then there's
Right,
people like us who is like, what are we trying to accomplish? And then we choose the best method possible to accomplish it. So whatever
right,
technique that is,
right,
like if it's cubism, then it's cubism. Then if it's fucking
right, right.
impressionism, it's impressionism, right?
Yeah,
But we're not locked into it. Like all I ever do is cubism,
right, right.
and that's what you should come to expect from me.
And
Now,
for as an artist, that's boring, right? That's
it's
boring to an
right.
artist.
It
Yeah,
just makes me wonder. It's like how much does the audience expect a one trick pony? Like if you try to go outside your lane, how many people do you lose? You know,
if you're
I don't.
catering to an audience, I think it limits your growth as an artist. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely.
But it might not limit your growth as your growth as a businessman. Like as
Mm-hmm.
a businessman, maybe it's a smart decision to do that. But I'm an artist, I'm not a businessman in the music sense. I'm not with
Mm-hmm.
the business. I got other businesses to support me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I feel like I think that's the biggest lesson I learned over the years. Is like you do have to keep like you have to know a certain amount of business for your art, but you really got to try to make money with something else if you're really
Right.
trying to be pure about your work. Like if
Yeah.
you want to be able to write
Pure.
what you want to write, you can't expect people to pay for it. Like
Right.
so,
I don't want to get it twisted though. You know, if your intention is to make money at this, I got no problem with your
oh
hustle.
yeah,
That's cool. For me, it's completely different. But for you, I don't hate on anybody that's doing that. Like, I don't hate pop artists. That's cool. That's what you do. There's an art there too. But it's not my kind of art. The kind of art that I want to do, money could really distort
hmm
the purity and the integrity of it, you know?
yeah.
So it's
I mean,
not
it's
my
the
main
difference
focus.
between like fine art and commercial art. It's just
Right,
that's all
right,
it is. Like if you're doing it to make like commercial art requires skill, requires money, but it's commercialism. It's based
right.
on the money you're doing. It's a service. It's the difference between a product and a service, practically. So
Yeah, I
I want
mean,
to make the products I want to make.
I think I'm gonna end it on this note. Like, I think this is your time. It's a good time for you to push, and everything's happening perfectly. I think the lane that y'all opened up, you know, especially like the backwoods lane, the
Mhm.
shit that Wood's doing, he opened up a whole new lane for our kind of thing, and I didn't even see it. Dose and those guys pointed that. Actually, my boy Zach from Hands Made pointed it out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, Woods is opening up this lane for our genre of
Oh
music. You
yeah.
know, it's like, and it's not specifically just him. It's everybody around your camp, my camp. I think something's opening up to where people are ready for this again on a whole new level of independent thought and movement. You know,
hmm
like like Still Riff coming out is perfect timing right now. Is what I'm trying to say, man. And I respect you highly, and I love you so much,
Likewise.
man. And
Likewise.
I appreciate you doing this. And I please let us know when something's coming next. You know, if you can let us know what's going on with you.
I mean, I'll keep everybody posted. I think that the next thing I notice coming is me. Is that grenades tape. I'm
Okay.
not sure what the days are. I don't want to rob his thunder or anything like that. So it's like I'll leave that up to him. Maybe he has some goodies. I think that my next public thing that I was waiting on was Sketch's album to come out. So check his
Okay.
stuff out. He does nothing for the swim backs.
Sketch
That's
185. Wrecking it
185
right
on
now, bro.
Backwoods. I was
Backwoods.
on, yeah. So I was on J Street on that. If you want to hear something specific, and then I think summer. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for something
Uh,
in the
how do we keep an eye out? Just your Instagram is the best place to go.
yeah, Instagram, Twitter, everything I do is still Rift at still Rift or
Okay.
stillrift.com, but I haven't put anything up on that yet because I'm a lazy bastard when it comes to that.
Me too. I'll be following,
But
bro. I
yeah,
will be following.
I would say the Twitter is probably the best thing to see if you want to
Okay.
hear anything that's important. I end up retweeting or posting up there, and then I'll throw the random story on the Instagram. So those are the
Right.
best spots.
That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you. Love you, man. And thank you for doing this.
Love you
It
too.
means the world to
I
me.
appreciate it. I'm glad you
We
think of
got to
me.
stay connected, man. Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Lyrical, lyrical, spiritual style. Lyrical, lyrical, spiritual style.